1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Arts and Leisure on the HAN Network. This is our weekly program featuring everything that is coming up in the area's music, arts, and entertainment scene. We will interview local artists, authors, musicians, and even some nationally recognized names who may be performing here in our area. We will have movie reviews and film suggestions from the real dad, Mark Schumann, and etiquette tips from Catherine Michaels. This is your all-access pass, and here are your hosts, Arts and Leisure editor Sally Sanders and our entertainment reporter Steve Coulter.
NBC, ABC.
All got closed out.
Nothing.
The networks, the big major ones, the broadcast ones, shut out for the 5th straight year in the drama category. It has been 5 years since they've had a drama.
That's really sad.
Impeccable.
That's really sad.
That these companies, the Netflixes and the Amazons and the HBOs, continue to dominate. HBO with 94 nominations. Their 16th year in a row that they have the most, and you get to see that a lot with the movies that they have in the miniseries that collect a lot of the nominations. But of course, Game of Thrones with 23 out in front.
That's the biggie. Yeah.
That's the biggie. You have the drama series nomination. You get 4 actor nominations for Peter Dinklage, Kit Harington, Emilia Clarke, and Lena Headey, who plays Cersei Lannister, who's just great. And so that one's the leader of the pack, HBO with 94 and Game of Thrones with 23, but a very nice spread of nominations overall.
Netflix must be pretty up there too.
Netflix was third with 54. FX was actually second because of the miniseries Fargo and The People vs. O.J. Simpson were Fargo and OJ was second behind Game of Thrones, and then Fargo was third, which I think was a pretty good representation of the year in TV. I think those were the big three, kind of the most made the most splash when they were released, especially with OJ. Everyone remembers when that came out. Fargo was a critical darling back when it came out, and then Game of Thrones it brought the lightning.
It just keeps going.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. Getting better.
But there is one on the list for the drama series that I was very excited about, The Americans. I've been watching it now since I graduated college back in the winter of 2013 when it premiered. And here it is, finally getting a drama nomination. Matthew Rhys, Kerry Russell, 2 of my favorite actors on TV.
They are really good. They are really good. But do you think it's gotten better? Is that why?
It has, and that's why I'm happy, because the 4th season was really its best work to date.
Okay, so
and Matthew Rhys he's so good because he's so conflicted. He wants to be an American, but he's a Russian, and he's in this relationship with Russell, and she's kind of like, she's the
fanatic. Yeah.
Yes, she's the fanatic, and it's such a great relationship, and it's a family drama, really, at its core.
Yeah, the kids are really getting pulled into
right.
it now.
He bonds with the daughter, she bonds with the daughter. He's, more lenient with her, she's more strict, and it's like good cop, bad cop, and then they've got the son who's not as important, kind of like AJ Jr. in The Sopranos, but yeah, he's like kind of an afterthought, but it's such a good show, and I highly recommend it to people if you haven't watched. There's 4 seasons, catch up now, and hopefully it surprises everybody and wins. I doubt it will.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, I think, is...
Game of Thrones is the favorite.
Although, sentimentally...
Downton Abbey, that's the one I think is, if there's going to be a challenger this year, Downton in its last season.
Because he really upped it this year.
Yeah.
He did.
Well, he knew he was going against Game of Thrones, so he's like, I have to do it.
And it was his last season.
Yeah.
I mean, that was definite that they were not going to do any more.
Right.
Although now he's talking about doing a movie, Julian Fellows.
Really?
Yeah.
Same cast of characters, or?
Well, whoever they could pull together, I imagine they could probably get most of those actors.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was happy to see Downton in that race, and I think if it's not going to go to Game of Thrones or Downton, the third person is Mr. Robot, which just premiered its 2nd season last night on USA. It's the only show of the 7 that was a 1st season show that got nominated this year.
And it's a very interesting concept.
Yes, it's very current. Its themes are very much 2016, and I think that will help it going forward in these kind of races that it's very, of all these shows, it's not tackling issues of the past, it's tackling issues of today.
Well, for just old school fun and games acting, and I mean, I would have almost put it in the comedy series, Better Call Saul.
Oh, Better Call Saul did get back in for AMC too, because
Yeah.
AMC was almost going to get blanked now that Mad Men is gone, but
Right.
they did give Bob Odenkirk's Better Call Saul a nod, and also Michael Banks got a nod for the supporting actor category.
Jonathan
which
Banks.
is, oh, Jonathan Banks. What did I say, Michael?
Yeah.
Jonathan Banks. He's
Who has-
great.
yes, the world's-
Mike Ehrmantraut is the
Yes,
character.
exactly.
I'm combining.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, that one's. It's great to see it get the nomination. I don't know if it will win or not in the
I
drama
doubt it.
category, but it's good to see it there. And then the last two are, I think, are our least favorites of the pack are House of
Homeland.
Cards and Homeland, which
Yeah.
are a little stale. They feel a little redundant. I know for me, House of Cards was really entertaining in its 4th season on Netflix, but it just doesn't have the oomph that it did in the first 2 seasons.
You're not shocked by anything they do anymore,
Right.
which is, I think was part of the beginning of it. Those asides and the
Yeah.
you know the
the
quick
breaking
knife
the
work that
breaking
he would
the fourth
do. Yeah.
wall. And then they don't nominate Joel Kinnaman, who is the supporting actor this season. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he was.
And that's a loaded category, as we're going to talk about. So it's
Yeah.
hard to break into that. But
Well, on to comedy.
on to comedy.
ABC had something here, Blackish, which
Yeah,
is a great
Blackish
show.
did land, and so did Modern Family again, I think, for the 8th straight year.
Yeah.
And Veep, which is the defending champion, is also in the comedy
Yeah.
race. Not in the comedy race or the drama race this year, dropped entirely almost from the Emmys consideration, is Orange is the New Black on Netflix.
They had a hard time figuring out what to do with it at the beginning, and I
They
guess
did.
and because originally they did have it as comedy,
comedy.
right? Which it's not.
And it's an hour long, so you think it's drama.
So the only nomination they got was for casting, which they do a marvelous
Oh, yeah.
job at. So
It's so weird, though, to see a show that's cleaned up before and gets so many
Yeah.
nominations. I think it was the second most nominated show last year behind Game of Thrones.
yeah,
Just completely blanked this year. I kind of wondered what happened or how the voting went down. That'll be something to pay
yeah.
attention to in the next couple of
Yeah.
days for those who are Orange is the New Black fans, because it's really, that one stood out. I'm not a huge fan of the show. I wouldn't say it's the biggest snub on my list, but
Yeah.
it definitely is the one that pops out to you. Where is it?
It did get a little wearisome, I think. I mean, it was still interesting to get
What
all
about
the back.
Homeland, though? If you're going to talk about
Yeah, wearisome. Yeah.
Gary's still tracking down terrorists in the Middle East. Like, that show's lost its spunk after the 3rd season, I think. Any other comedy series? I know there's one you wanted to talk about.
Well, Master of None.
Masters of None was definitely,
Aziz Ansari.
Did his dad get nominated or no? I don't think I saw his name.
I don't think so.
That's too bad. He was so good.
But I mean, I on Parks and Recreation, I found him to be the most annoying of a slew of annoying people.
Oh, Tom Haverford?
Yes, and when I started watching this show, I thought, oh, but
He really
there's
he
a
wins
lot
you
of
over.
heart in it.
Oh.
There's a lot of heart in it, and it
Definitely.
It's, and
one of the
very
best written
funny.
shows on TV.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Master
cast
of
of
None, if people haven't
characters-
watched that on Netflix, is a must
Yeah.
watch. It's so good.
He got a great cast of regulars too.
Oh, I love
together.
his friend Brian. And
Yes.
when they go see the parents, that is like,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite episodes of TV.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And also Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I
Another Netflix one.
Yeah.
So Netflix wasn't totally held dormant without Orange is the New Black. They got those two.
No, I was surprised that Grace and Frankie didn't get into comedy.
Yeah. They were last year, though, weren't they? or
I
no?
think so,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. There's a nomination for Lily Tomlin in the supporting actress.
But nothing for Jane Fonda.
No, nothing for Jane Fonda.
Huh.
And that show is held up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the comedy race, I think the big challenger is obviously Master of None. And it's going against Veep, I would say, is the favorite to kind of hold that crown. It won last year, knocking Modern Family finally from that mantle. So Veep will be the one I would consider. And so that gives HBO the two lead dogs in the race. People have been kind of attacking them for some bad series that came out, Vinyl being one that they've let go and canceled. But HBO still reigns supreme here on Emmy Thursday with 94 nominations.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones leading the way. What was your favorite? I know mine was The Americans. What kind of stood out for you as your favorite one on this list of nominees?
Of series or anything?
Series, actors, you choose.
Gosh.
It's a big list, by the way.
It is a huge list.
The whole list is on imdb.com if people want to read it.
Sentimentally, if I were going to pick someone to get an an Emmy, I think I'd go with Downton Abbey just because I'd like to see it recognized, and I'd like to see Maggie Smith get.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
How many has she won? She's had to have won 2 or 3.
A few.
Yeah.
A few.
Her and Peter Dinklage, they belong on that stage together. It's
And
the
I'd
supporting
like
winners.
I'd like to see them honor Key and Peele.
That would be great.
I think that's up for.
And then
for
they're ending
comedy
that show,
series.
I'm pretty
It's
sure.
gone, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
they already
gone.
ended it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be another sentimental.
But that was a wonderful, just crazy show.
Yeah. Oh, he's so funny. I forgot what I was watching over the weekend that he popped up in Peel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So what's yours?
Well, I have the Americans on my list. I think I was very, very happy to see Ben Mendelsohn and Bokeem Woodbine from Fargo. I was so happy to see Bokeem get the nomination.
Oh,
he
yes.
was brilliant.
He was
on the second season of Fargo.
Scary as
oh my God.
Get out.
And
yeah.
we have that image, I know, where he's like, "We come in peace," and he's just so good as the gangster.
Well, and Ben Mendelsohn.
And Ben Mendelsohn, this is two separate categories, I should
Yeah.
say. This is supporting actor in a series and then supporting actor in limited. I think those are the best categories on the entire list. For series, we mentioned Dinklage, we mentioned Banks for Better Call Saul, Kit Harington's in Game of Thrones, Ben Mendelsohn for Bloodline, and then John Voight is there for Ray Donovan, as well as Michael Kelly for House of Cards.
Oh, and I wanted to mention Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee,
That
which
one's,
is
yeah, I
up
was
for
going
a
to say,
talk
I
series.
know you liked that a lot.
I love that show.
Yeah.
That's
There were
really
some
fun.
really touching moments in this past season. I think, what is it, in its 7th or 8th season? Or is it now in its 10th?
He does it in funny little groupings, so
Right.
it's hard to kind of quantify where we are
Yeah,
at this point.
and he's had so many great guests. He's had Letterman on.
He has, and he also introduces you to comedians.
To new people,
if you weren't, a habitué of the stand-up comedy clubs, you might not know some of these people, but they're all so interesting, every one of them.
And for people that aren't watching it, where can they watch it?
This is on Crackle, which is
Yeah.
you have to get through like a Roku player.
A Roku,
or,
exactly.
Yeah.
You have
Is
to be
that-
very dedicated to the show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's worth it.
Yeah, it is worth
I
it. And that's
recommend
Jerry Seinfeld driving around interviewing comedians.
And fantastic cars, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
fantastic
amazing.
cars, fantastic conversations.
Yeah, sometimes the coffee doesn't look so good.
Now, we mentioned the supporting actors. One that didn't get in for me, which I was disappointed, Jeffrey Donovan in Fargo. So Bokeem got the nomination, but
yeah.
Jeffrey Donovan didn't, unfortunately. Jesse Plemons did, though. So Fargo did get 2 supporting
The
actors.
Cupid doll.
And then Kirsten Dunst also.
Of course,
Yeah, she was
she
lead
had to be.
in the supporting series. She's going to go up, though, against a bulldozer in Sarah Paulson for People vs. OJ. They're saying she's probably the biggest lock on this entire list. So
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
She was very good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see her win for actress and then Courtney B. Vance win for his role as Johnny Cochran as the lead actor.
Yeah.
Cuba Gooding Jr. also got a lead actor nomination for The People vs. OJ, believe it or not. And John Travolta and David Schwimmer. They cleaned up. Every single actor that...
I think that's a bit much.
I know. Every single actor that FX put out for that show got a nomination.
Wow.
Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good supporting actors out there. Dylan Baker from The Americans was another one of my snubs. I thought he was absolutely fantastic this year as kind of the third lead actor that they brought him in mid-season, and he was excellent in all of his scenes.
Well, for supporting actor in a drama, I'd have to go with Jonathan Banks. I just love him in
He's
Better Call
excellent
Saul.
as Ermin Trout.
Although Michael Kelly in House of Cards.
Who do you throw a dart at the dartboard, and anyone who
Yeah.
wins you can't really be
I
disappointed
mean,
with.
he doesn't get a lot of recognition, but he's so intense as Doug. He's just
Oh yeah, he's like the propeller of the show.
yeah. And
Where would it go without him?
I mean, I don't know if have you seen all the series?
I have, yeah.
Yes, where he's explaining to a guy why he's going to do what he wants him to
Yep.
do, and he slaps the
Oh yeah.
the glass over
Seth,
the guy.
the press guy, yeah. Yeah, that's the best scene of the new season, I
Just
think.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. Another one, Kit Harington got on for Game of Thrones, but I thought Jonathan Pryce, he plays the priest, and I thought he was excellent this 6th
He's
season.
always
He's so
good.
good. I was really disappointed to see him left out, especially because they put a Game of Thrones actor in there. I mean, nothing against Kit Harington. He's one of
Yeah.
the leads of the show, and he's, Jon Snow, everyone loves him, but Jonathan Pryce was that kind of like villainous, going up against Cersei Lannister, Lena Headey's character, and like that's when the show's really good. Like, and then, I mean, I won't blow it for anyone who hasn't watched, but he's so good, and that was a miss, I thought. And the one other one I want to get in is Show Me a Hero, which premiered last summer on HBO. It's a mini-series, completely snubbed. I was really disappointed. Oscar Isaac won for actor in that category at the Golden Globes. The series was nominated at the Golden Globes. Unfortunately, the Emmys left it off its list. For people that want to watch something good,
yeah.
Show Me a Hero, very, very good mini-series that debuted last year from David Simon.
And that was on what?
HBO.
On HBO too.
Also left out was The Leftovers, which I thought was much better in its second season than its first. disappointing to see that they went with Homeland over the Leftovers. I couldn't believe that.
Homeland's kind of the leftover.
Oh man, I was so disappointed that Homeland got in, and Justin Theroux is an amazing lead in that show, and it was disappointing to see that they went with Claire Danes and Homeland again with Showtime. But what can you do? That's probably my biggest gripe is the Homeland love. Did you have any snubs that were on your list? Any major ones that came up?
Nothing that came to mind in a quick look through. So we're going to find out September 18th.
September 18th. Will Fargo upset People vs. OJ? I think that one's the one I'm looking forward to the most. Because People vs. OJ has so much momentum going into it. They have so many nominations and everything. But Fargo was so good.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I really want to see win. And then if Game of Thrones loses to Downton Abbey, I wouldn't be upset, although I love Game of Thrones, and I think this last season was one of its best. And the other one is Matthew Rhys in the actor category for the Americans. I would love to see him upset, but you never know. Bob Odenkirk, it's a tough one. Rami Malek from Mr. Robot, those will be his biggest challengers, I think. And so I think that concludes the Emmy nominations. We'll be back. We'll talk more Emmys as they get it closer in September. We're just very excited about this morning's announcements. Yeah. It's a great list, and we're going to head off on to our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be previewing a show at the Center Stage Theater that's taking place next weekend. We'll be right back after the first commercial break.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Mosquitoes, ticks, gone. Guaranteed. That's what Mosquito Squad guarantees as America's most trusted mosquito and tick control company. Locally owned and operated, over 90,000 homes have been protected by Mosquito Squad using their dual protection method for season-long protection, which includes barrier spray service for eliminating mosquitoes and adult ticks, as well as supplemental programs to increase tick control. They use only USDA organic options, which are safe and non-toxic. Contact them today at www.squadctny.com or 203-893-4309. Mosquito Squad. No bugs, no bites, no kidding.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
You're watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 1 million people have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment programming since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back. This is Arts and Leisure on the HAN Network, and I'm joined now on the couch by the Scarpas from Center Stage Theater, who are about to produce In the Heights in 2 weeks, opening Friday night, July 29th.
Mm-hmm. Right.
At Sheldon Intermediate School, right?
Right.
And the Scarpas have quite a long history in theater in Shelton and together.
Yep.
It's a great story. It's a great story. You two met in college?
Mm-hmm. We met in a college play.
In a college play. What was the play?
Actually, it's a play called, it was a play called She Haunts Me, which was based on, you never heard of it, of course.
No, but it's a perfect title.
Yes.
She Haunts Me, yes.
I've been haunting him ever since.
It was based on the television and show and film The Ghost and Mrs. Muir.
Oh, okay.
And it was a musical, and it was maybe the one and only time it was performed. Mm-hmm. It was written by some New York people, and one of the directors from Southern had attended some kind of reading or workshop for it. So he invited them to do it at Southern, and he did this big splashy production. Mm-hmm. So it was a world premiere, and it was a lot of fun.
And we were the summer romance.
We were the summer, what we call the summer showmans.
The showmans, yeah.
And that was in the summer of 1973. Fran was 19 and I was 21.
Okay, so you were a freshman in college?
I just finished my freshman year.
And I was heading, my junior year, I was heading into senior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So romance continued.
Yeah.
And I have to also add that it was, for me, the first play that I had ever been in. I had performed all my life as a child, and in high school I was in a rock and roll band, and we were very active and very busy. But it was my first play, so I fell in love with theater and this lady all in 1 month.
And music is in your background too.
Yes.
Your family, your father was an opera conductor?
Yep, my dad was an opera conductor. Grew up in Sicily and then moved to New York and then eventually found his way to New Haven. And he conducted there and conducted in New York and conducted in Italy. Met my mom, who was playing the piano on an Italian radio station. And she was born in England. My father used to say that the stork dropped her in the wrong country.
Oh, really?
Because she loved all things Italian. And eventually they married and did a lot of music in New Haven. Very, very prominent in the music community there. So music was always part of my life.
Okay.
And an interesting point is that Fran's parents were really old enough to be her grandparents.
Yeah.
So when I met her, she was 19 and her father was 78.
Yeah.
Wow.
So his conducting days were over. He was retired. He taught voice to some gifted students at that time. But so really he was active in New Haven. He had previously conducted in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles, but he was active in New Haven during the golden years of the Schubert Theater. And so he ran the Schubert Theater's opera season, and Fran's older sister, he would go for a meeting at the Schubert and he'd tell Fran's sister, who's 14 years older than Fran, you sit in the theater and watch the rehearsal, and on stage was Ethel Merman or Mary Martin. So her sister really grew up in this environment, of live theater in at the Schubert in New Haven, a really golden time in New Haven for live theater and opera.
So then, flash forward, you graduate and became a teacher in Shelton?
Right. Yeah, I was an English major, so I didn't major in theater. In fact, I was hanging out with some Vietnam vet in the cafeteria at Southern, and he encouraged me to try out for a play, and he asked me if I sang, and this was before She Haunts Me, and I said, yes, I sing. I said, but I sang in a band. And I said, but why would you say that to me? And he said, I just think you'd be good at it, man. So so I'm like, okay, well, if you think I'd be good at it, I guess I should go check it out. So I really had not had any real exposure to theater before that, live theater. And so, but I loved music, and also I thought, let me check this out. So I went and I performed in this production and a few productions in my senior year. But I was a secondary ed English major, and I graduated, and I was an alumni of Shelton High School, and so.
So you're really a local boy.
Yeah, I'm just born. My mother was born and bred in Shelton, and so was I.
That's great.
So I got the job at Shelton High, and in my first year teaching, I went to see the drama club production, and I came home, and I was living at home, and. I said to my parents, I said, it was really awesome, it was great. And my dad said, well, wouldn't it be great if you and Fran could direct the drama club? And I said, Dad, this thing is great. I said, this guy is never going to give this up. And he gave it up. He gave it up. He went off on some other venture. He left Shelton High School.
Do you sort of feel that there's like fate just
we talk
about
it all the time.
We talk about it all the time.
We really thought that it was going to be just for 1 year, that he was taking
we thought he was coming back.
And coming back. So
we
do
thought
it
we'll
this
direct
year.
it for 1 year and see
That'll be
how
fun.
that goes.
And then 1 year became 40. It just kind of laid out in front of us, and more and different opportunities came along. And then when Gary left teaching in 1983.
We were poor.
We were.
So I chose to, at 30 years old, you go through that sort of identity crisis at 30.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm married, I have 2 babies now, we're making so little money. I remember it was about $11,000 that I was making.
As a
and
teacher.
Fran was
As
a
a teacher.
stay-at-home mom.
Yep.
And we were like on
Yeah, it wasn't going good.
women, infants, and children. We qualified for like free bread, milk, and
On a teacher's salary.
yeah, because we were making so little at the time. So I said I have to just leave. So I left, and I was really devastated because I loved teaching. I just loved teaching, and then we had been directing the drama club for 8 years, and that was like a real passion, a tremendous passion. So I was really pretty devastated that I was making this decision, but I really went ahead with it. And then the summer came, and I said, Fran, I said, let's start a summer theater. So we did, and that was the Youth Connection. And then the Youth
Which is still going.
Yeah.
Still going.
So what happened is in 2005, we got the crazy idea to open Center Stage, which actually happened on a beach in Jamaica. Fran had been at a motivational workshop at the Philadelphia Civic Center given by Oprah Winfrey. And Fran and Oprah that year both turned 50. And so Oprah inspired Fran and said, in our 50s we could do great things, ladies. And so Fran said, let's do something great. So I said, okay, let's open our own full-time theater. So we did. And in turn,
let's go back.
We absorbed the Youth Connection into it.
We thought originally that we were just opening up a little coffee shop, bookstore, and going to do a couple of little shows.
Yeah, we thought we'd have a lot of acoustic
just,
music. We weren't really thinking a full-time theater.
Where we
That's
are
true.
now.
We thought there'd be entertainment. We thought maybe we'll direct a little play or two, like with 4 characters or 6 characters, and do a lot of acoustic music. And the concept was coffee house bookstore, and it was a great. We were at 100 Center Street, which is now called. It's a restaurant, Coloroso.
Restaurant.
Okay.
And it was just an awesome little space.
And this is in 1980s?
This
Is
this
was in 2005.
2005.
Yeah, this is opening Center Stage.
Okay.
Center Stage is we're beginning within the Heights.
So Center Stage, we were still doing the Youth Connection, and then eventually Center Stage assimilated the Youth Connection in. So the Youth Connection production starts our season every year. We start our season at Center Stage with that big Youth Connection musical.
Yeah. What happened really with Center Stage is, and it's funny that we're talking about this because we just saw the guy yesterday, but there's a guy whose kids when they were young were in our productions with Shelton High School and the Youth Connection, and his name's Don O'Patterney, and Don was a businessman, and he approached us and he said, listen, he said, you need a business manager. So we said, okay, we're not going to argue with that because we knew nothing about business at that point, really. We theater, yes, but business, no. So, he sat down with us and he said, the first thing you're going to do is understand that, people know you for theater, so you're going to do a season of plays and you're going to do 7 productions.
He had it all sussed
He
out
did,
already.
yeah.
And he said, you're going to have subscribers. And I said, Don, it's just a little
that's
nothing
not
on
gonna
Center
happen.
Street. We're not going to have subscribers. He said, no, you're going to have subscribers and you're going to do 7 plays. And I said, and I'm going to direct 7 productions during the year. Plus that first and second year, I directed the Youth Connection and the Shelton High School Drama Club and worked full-time at Shelton High School as a guidance counselor. So I directed 9 shows for 2 years in a row, I would say.
That was crazy.
And I don't know how
And
I'm
your
still
kids
here.
were young then, too.
Yeah.
Well, they were not young.
Yeah, they were young.
How old were they?
Well, that was 12 years ago.
2005. They were in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young.
That's not young.
Or they weren't babies.
Yeah.
So
well,
anyway.
they were right with us every step of the way.
helped.
With Center
Yeah,
Stage.
they're very
They
involved.
painted the walls. They
Yeah.
they taught classes. They directed.
Yeah. And they directed.
they've been
Without them, especially in the last, I'd
Oh
say,
my gosh.
half a dozen years.
Yeah.
The truth is that Fran really, at Center Stage, is the executive director and handles the business end of it really, and she's very, very immersed in grant writing and fundraising and the whole business budgeting and the whole business end. So our daughters have taken her role. So this current production, our older daughter Gina and I are directing together, and last year Gina and I directed Peter Pan, and Mia and I just directed Hairspray in the winter. So I team up with one of our daughters, because Fran's a little tied up with other things. So
Fran, I come in, I get to throw my 2 cents.
She comes in and throws in her 2 cents.
I always keep 2 pennies just in
case.
And I say, I need you to look at this and tell us what you think and give us your input.
Right. Well, we'll be directing the next one together.
Yeah.
After
In the Heights.
we'll be doing.
Well,
the
In the
next one
Heights
together.
is kind of an exciting one.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean, especially with all the interest in Lin-Manuel Miranda right now.
Absolutely.
With the success of Hamilton and all, I think it's a great choice, and we're really hyped about it. And of course, teenagers are all big Miranda fans. They
Oh,
all
yeah.
love.
Oh, yeah.
So our cast are high school and college students. I would say this year it skews higher on the college student side. I would say we're 2/3 college students and 1/3 high school students this summer, and they're all really amped up about this show because, they all, even though they can't afford to see Hamilton, they all know the whole
They know the
score.
whole
They
thing.
know
Oh,
that,
sure.
They know
Yeah.
that play inside and out without ever having seen it
Yeah.
because it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
So we're having a really great time with it, and I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Okay, well, what's the rest of the season going to be like? We should just throw that in while we're here.
Sure. After In the Heights in the fall, we follow that up with A Taste of Sunrise, which is actually a trilogy. We've done is that the first one in the? This is the first one in this series. So we've done Mother Hicks, which is the second of the trilogy, and then they recommend that you go back and do the first one. So the really kind of cool thing about A Taste of Sunrise is it requires us to use deaf actors. So for the first show, we had a wonderful deaf actor named Joe Ronan
In Mother Hicks
last year, and Joe will be back in the show again this year.
Yeah, he's a 25-year-old resident of West Haven, and he's completely deaf and really an awesome young man.
Yeah, we've learned a lot, and it was a great experience
Our
all
lives
around.
Are enriched
great,
by having
so
worked
much.
with him.
Yeah, so that's coming up, and then after that we have
A Christmas Carol?
which we do every other year, and then we follow that with My Fair Lady.
Oh, wow.
And the last show of the season will be Moon Over Buffalo. So
Which is
a great
it's
comedy.
a comedy, yeah.
And in between all of those things, Gina will be directing a teen musical theater workshop with all of our teenagers. And then we also have now, she started last year, a musical theater workshop junior program. So they will be performing at Center Stage. And
we also
5
have
cabarets that will be performing.
We do musical cabarets. That was...
That's what we originally thought we were doing.
Well, the cabaret series is an offshoot of what we thought the first the first vision of Center Stage would be this coffee house with acoustic musicians. So now we have these cabaret nights where we fill the place and people bring their own refreshments. And we have an Irish night and an Italian night, and we had a Beatles tribute band last year. And the year before we had a Sinatra and a Dean Martin impersonator. So we have things, the audience, our audience, are older people for the most part. I think that's true of live theater in general. Fran and I were at a production at Long Wharf Theater last year, and I looked around and I said, Fran, I'm 63 years old and I'm the youngest kid here. I said, everybody here is older than us,
Yeah, that's
but
sort
I
of like
think
going to
that
the
a show
symphony.
like In the
it's
Heights,
the same thing that those are the people.
we hope will be drawing in a
I would
younger,
think it will,
audience
yeah.
as
we're
well.
hoping we've drawn a lot of young people.
Yeah, and we found that with Hairspray as well. So
yeah, Hairspray drew in a lot.
Yeah,
we
last
sold
season.
out the whole run of Hairspray in advance, in fact.
So how many seats in the theater?
We see 200 at Center Stage.
Okay, so it's
nice,
it's a little under 200, yeah.
Yep,
And
comfy seats.
So there's 8 rows. So if you're in the last row, you're only
in
the
row
8th
8.
The only thing, our summer show, I think you already said this. Each year, our summer show is typically at Shelton High School, but there was they had some renovations planned that actually they're going to delay. But in the meantime, we booked Shelton Intermediate School for this production. So In the Heights will be at Shelton Intermediate School.
Intermediate School, which is 675 Constitution Boulevard North.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
It's right on
Air
the same
conditioned.
campus as the high school. It's just
Right.
Air
up the road.
conditioning
Air
sounds
conditioned.
good.
Yeah.
So this is running July 29th through August 6th, and it's on Friday and Saturday nights. And then you have a matinee on August 6th
yeah.
at 2 o'clock.
So we have 4 8:00 performances, both Fridays and Saturdays, and the second Saturday at 2 o'clock performance.
And
as well.
to get tickets, people can visit centerstageshelton.org.
Right.
Or they can call 203-225-6079.
That's right.
Correct. Thank you.
Well, and I thought it was interesting when you walked in here, you met an old student of yours.
Nora,
coming
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
You must find people everywhere.
Yeah,
We
it's
do.
fun. It's fun when we do. Nora, actually, when we were at our first location, we did a cabaret with her husband and herself in a band that they
Yeah,
have.
great band.
So
Yeah,
they-
she's a great singer.
They came down and saw me, and she said, "What do you think about us doing something here?" And I said, "Absolutely." So,
Yeah. Yeah, it was
they
great.
came in, and we had a great night with
Yep.
them.
Connections
so that was about
everywhere.
11
That's
years
right.
ago. So I haven't seen her since then in 11 years.
Ha. So we're going to close it out here, and thank you very much for coming in and
Thank you
talking
for
about
having
your
us.
show.
Thank
And
you.
I'll be back with Steve in just a minute.
All right.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook. At the Language School in Ridgefield, we teach practical language for real life, tailored to your professional needs or those of your children. Offering more than a dozen languages, the school specializes in creating customized classes for businesses, government agencies, and healthcare professionals in Fairfield and Westchester counties. Native speakers from around the world will instruct students of all ages in the language and the culture using a hands-on method. Find out more about what makes us different at thelanguageschoolglobal.com or call us at 203-241-7010.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
Thank you so much for watching today's Arts and Leisure on the HAN Network. That was a great discussion with the Scarpas and the Emmy nominations. We look forward to bringing you another episode next week. Trumbull's Blu-ray Festival is kind of our interview. We're going to stay with TV